This presentation is intended to be used as a supplement to the training a private driver's training school instructor candidate receives from the private driver's training school owners and directors. It is not intended to supplant or replace the training. This guide is intended to be used by private driver's training school owners and directors. You may enter your questions in the chat. We will entertain questions at the end of the presentation. The components of the private driver's training school instructor examination align with the statute for private driver's training schools. Upon your request, the Pennsylvania Department of Education will review your instructor training guide and provide guidance and suggestions on how to best prepare the private driver's training school instructor candidate. Once you navigate to the Novice Teen Driver Education and Training Administrative Standards, navigate to attachments C and D found on pages 170 through 182 to locate the stages for driver education instructor preparation program and the model training materials for the teaching task. We begin with Standards Foundations. Instructor training should include, at a minimum, but not limited to, understanding of the following: the driver education curriculum. Private driver training schools have the choice as to which driver education curriculum they use. They should also understand the Pennsylvania performance expectations for driver's education, driver education best practices, rules for safe driving, Pennsylvania Motor Vehicle Code, and natural laws that affect vehicle operation and performance. Standards Foundations Part 2. The instructor candidate needs to have a fundamental understanding of the concepts of teaching and learning, which include teaching techniques, classroom management. Keep in mind that the vehicle is the classroom for behind the wheel lessons, developing lesson plans, developing route plans, and developing curricula, how to provide instruction, student assessments and evaluation, questioning techniques, addressing special needs students, coordinating between classroom and the behind the wheel instruction, professional responsibility and accountability, and understanding of sexual harassment and liability protection. Instructors need to be trained on how to teach and address the following critical skills. The instructor needs to be familiar with the Pennsylvania Driver's Manual. The manual is broken down into 6 areas. Guidance for private driver training school owners and directors in the area of instructor training is available on the Pennsylvania Department of Education Driver and Safety Education website.
This link provides information for owners and directors related to areas where the PDTS owners and directors should be placing emphasis while training their instructors. This link was put on the PDE website in February 2018. The link includes driver education curriculum, traffic regulations, policies and administration procedures, classroom and laboratory equipment and information, planning of instruction, and managing the instructional environment.
In this section, we will cover scanning techniques. Scanning techniques is one of the most critical components of safe driving. Scanning involves our senses and brains. It is a selective process that takes time to develop. Scanning can be improved with direct practice. The driver education instructor is an important resource in helping students to develop their scanning techniques. In this section, we will be looking at the Perceptual Driving Program. Understanding scanning techniques will assist in developing perceptual skills. By reviewing the PowerPoint presentations from this slide, the instructor candidate can get a better understanding of how to assist the student in developing perceptual awareness.
Scanning highway conditions. Use this PowerPoint presentation to assist your instructors in developing their perceptual awareness. By having an understanding of and an improved perceptual awareness, the instructor is better able to teach their students how to develop perceptual awareness. To use the PowerPoint, allow the participant to view the slide scenario for 10 seconds. Move to the slide with the questions and allow the participant to answer the questions pertaining to the scenario. Move to the answer slide. At this time, review the participant's answer and engage in discussion regarding their answers. Identifying Highway Transportation System, or HTS, events. This PowerPoint is similar to the Scanning Highway Conditions presentation. The difference between the presentations is, with this presentation, we are asking the participant to search for specific details related to the scenario. In the other highway users PowerPoint, the premise of the exercise is the same as the other presentations. The difference is that the questions become more complex and the scenarios are more difficult. Targeting vision. This PowerPoint will help the instructor guide the student in understanding how to properly use the steering wheel, improve targeting vision, incorporate the C driving system, how to assess risk, and negotiate curves and hills. Traffic controls. This PowerPoint presentation is similar to the Scanning Highway Conditions and Identifying HTS events. The emphasis in this PowerPoint presentation is on building perceptual awareness by being able to better identify traffic controls.
Understanding space and recognizing space is a critical component of perceptual driving. An area of less space occurs when the driver does not have at least one car width next to the path of travel. Remember, always leave yourself an out. Another perceptual skill that needs to be developed is visibility. Line of sight, where you are looking at any given moment and where you have your best visual acuity. Central vision is only 3 degrees. View to the sides, the outer edge of field of vision. In this area, visible movement, color, and mass will appear. Commentary driving is a proven teaching technique to help develop and improve scanning techniques and perceptual awareness. These are various decision-making strategies. The strategy used in the Enhanced Program Guide is a stop, think, and go process. In the following section, we will explore student evaluation and assessment. Student assessment and evaluation is critical in teaching. Crucial aspects of driving that needs to be evaluated include, but is not limited to, the student's response to hazards, how they interact with other roadway users, the student's current performance, and, based on evaluation and assessment, how the student is progressing. In this section, we will look into pedagogy and providing instruction. Pedagogy covers various aspects of teaching that include, but is not limited to, styles of teaching, feedback, assessment, and asking questions. Pedagogy is the methods of teaching. When training the driver education instructor, owners and directors need to place emphasis on developing the instructor's knowledge of teaching and learning theories, learning preferences, student-centered learning activities, establishing and maintaining rapport with students, and understanding the characteristics of learning. In addition to teaching qualities, pedagogy for behind the wheel includes specific skills such as how to use the mirrors. That includes the rear view mirror, the outside mirrors, and the instructor eye check mirror. How to take control of the vehicle. How to properly utilize the dual brake in the vehicle. The delivery of information needs to be consistent. That includes giving instruction, where to make the maneuver and what the maneuver will be. An example of this would be, at the next traffic light, make a right turn. The delivery also includes how to intervene, how to take control of the wheel at the 3 o'clock position, and what to do after an intervention. The instructor needs to assure the student possesses all the appropriate documents at the start of every lesson. The instructor needs to be calm. The instructor needs to be sure the student understands how to relinquish control to the instructor when necessary. The private driver training school owner and director also needs to teach the instructor how to be positioned when giving a behind-the-wheel lesson. The behind-the-wheel instructor needs to be engaged with the lesson at all times. When providing instruction, there are many tasks occurring at the same time. The instructor can benefit by having a systematic order of awareness, providing instruction, assuring the student and the vehicle are in a position that affords them the most safety, and a methodology for tracking and assessment. Keeping an accurate anecdotal record will aid the instructor in tracking student progress and will assist when debriefing with the parent or guardian. In this section, we will look at how to incorporate the parent and guardian into the driver education program. Incorporating the parent and guardian in the student's lessons and progress is critical in developing a safe driver. Two valuable resources that the instructor should be referring to when conducting the post-lesson debriefing with the parents or guardian are the Parents Supervised Driving Program, published from PennDOT, and the Mentor Parent Driving, Working with Your Teen Driver lesson, developed by the Indiana University of Pennsylvania Institute for Rural Health and Safety of the Novice Driver Statewide Program.
PennDOT's Parents Supervised Driving Program is a valuable resource for parents and guardians and the driver education instructor when used as a supplement and guide incorporated into a driver education program. The Parents Guide consists of skill development, driving environments, driving conditions, danger awareness, and sharing the road. IUP's Mentor and Parent Working with Your Teen Driver is also a valuable resource for parents and guardians and the driver education instructor when used as a supplement and guide incorporated into a driver education program. This guide consists of 12 progressive chapters that help the parent and guardian to guide the student to safe driving.
In the following section, we will explore vehicle technology. With the constant changes and improvements in technology, it is a good practice to become familiar with vehicle technology. These systems incorporate audio, visual, and haptic feedback to alert the driver of the potential for a crash. These systems help to keep the vehicle in the proper lane. These systems warn of potential hazards to the rear of the vehicle. In addition, the ACC, or Adaptive Cruise Control, does exactly that. It assists with cruise control. In this section, we will look at the best practices for driver education. The Pennsylvania Enhanced Program Guide for Driver Education is where you will find best practices for driver education.
The Pennsylvania Enhanced Program Guide for Driver Education is designed to assist driver educators in understanding best practices, the utilization of the decision-making process, developing perceptual awareness, developing driving strategies, how to use commentary driving, classroom units, behind-the-wheel units, lessons, curriculum, and performance objectives for behind-the-wheel lessons, student record sheets, practice driving logs, checklists for behind-the-wheel lessons, checklists for conflict probabilities, checklists for how to choose the best pathways, checklists for the identification of highway changes, identifying closing probabilities, identifying other users, sample highway changes, sample student surveys, and sample parent surveys, to name a few. There are also supporting materials, videos, and PowerPoint presentations that accompany the Enhanced Program Guide. It is highly encouraged to incorporate the Enhanced Program Guide into your instructor training protocols.
Although there are no questions on the instructor test related to modules 3, 4, and 5, these modules are a great resource for lesson plans, route plans, and curriculum. In this section, we will be exploring lesson plans and route plans. Lesson plans provide the student with the necessary structure and direction to receive a relevant and engaging education. By testing the instructor candidate's knowledge of lesson plans and route plans, the candidate is better prepared to provide the student with a quality education. At the beginning of each lesson, make sure the student driver understands the objectives of the lesson, and when necessary and applicable, you are to review the last lesson. The components of a lesson plan needs to contain performance expectation or expectations, objectives and outcomes, materials and resources, procedures. The body of the lesson needs to provide modeling, guided practice, independent practice, and of course, all lesson plans need to contain a system of assessment and evaluation. Route plans assure that the location where the lesson is being taught, whether that is the parking lot, a road, street, or highway, is the appropriate location for the lesson that you are working on. It is highly encouraged that all private drivers training school owners, directors, and instructors are signed up in the Standards Aligned System. This is commonly referred to as SAS.
SAS is loaded with multiple resources, a content repository, and a lesson plan template. Joining SAS is easy and free. You can start by conducting a Google search for PDE SAS. You will be asked to create a username and password. Once you have created your username, hover over our name in the upper right-hand corner of the screen and click on Communities. Next, click on Find a Community and type in Driver Education. You will be asked to prompt, "Are you sure you want to join this community?" Click on Yes. You are now a member of the SAS Driver Education Learning Community.
Lesson plan templates are available on the SAS site. The following is a sample lesson plan. This shows us what needs to be contained in a lesson plan. Continuing with the lesson pre-trip preparation, the lesson plan also needs to contain the materials that will be used, a driver education vehicle for this particular lesson, a procedure such as the student will be instructed on the objectives while seated behind the wheel of the driver education vehicle, and the body of the lesson, which starts with the student will be afforded time to practice objectives. Lesson plans need to contain information as to how the student will be assessed and evaluated. You can see on this sample lesson plan the assessment and evaluation guides. The following is a sample of what a route plan should look like. The route plan needs to list the materials that will be used in the lesson, as well as outline the procedure of the lesson. As you can see in this sample route plan, the route plan needs to provide a detailed description of where the student will be driving. The route plan needs to identify conflict points and provide a justification as to why the lesson is taking place on the particular route. Just like on the lesson plan, the route plan needs to contain assessment and evaluation criteria. Assessment and evaluation skills will help the instructor to monitor the student's progress, help the instructor to be more efficient, and to guide the instructor in making better decisions about the type of instruction that will work best for the student. In this section, we will look at the performance expectations. The content and performance expectations is the outline of what is required to be taught in driver's education. Content expectations address what is to be taught in the theory portion of driver education. The instructor training for this audience needs to focus on the performance expectations. The performance expectations outline what is to be taught during the 6 hours of the behind the wheel instruction.
The Pennsylvania Department of Education established the Driver Education Content and Performance Expectations Committee consisting of driver education teachers, a superintendent, a curriculum coordinator, a principal, representatives from the Pennsylvania Association of Professional Driving Schools, the Indiana University of Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Motor Truck Association, the Pennsylvania Association of Safety Education, the Pennsylvania State Police, and the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, and the Pennsylvania Department of Education to create content and performance expectations. The driver education content and performance expectations describe what students should know and be able to do at the end of the 30-hour classroom theory and the 6-hour behind-the-wheel instruction. Driver education programs that exceed 30 hours of classroom and 6 hours of behind-the-wheel instruction can include additional expectations. The performance expectations contain 6 major categories that will be taught in a 6-hour behind-the-wheel driver education program. Under the categories, expectation statements. For example, A, B, and C are listed showing what students should learn. The indicators listed under the content expectations are applicable to the performance statements. Performance expectations for 14.6 have been omitted due to safety concerns. However, alternative methods, for example, safety bug, driving simulations, fatal vision goggles, may be used to demonstrate influences upon driver performance.
The performance expectations are as follows. Performance expectation 14.1, Pennsylvania laws and regulations. Performance expectation 14.2, knowledge of vehicle operations. Performance expectation 14.3, perceptual skill development. Performance expectation 14.4, decision making and risk reduction. Performance expectation 14.5, driving conditions. Please note that although performance expectation 14.6, influence upon driving performance, has been omitted, Due to safety concerns, 14.6 is covered in detail in the content expectations. The 14 critical skills can be taught and incorporated in multiple behind-the-wheel lessons. The 14 essential skills are judging speed going around a curve, recognizing a stopped vehicle, staying in the driving lane, starting from a stop, making a left turn into traffic, scanning environment and staying in the driving lane, recognizing when to brake, looking before pulling out from driveways and stop signs, judging speed and distance of oncoming traffic, driving at night, driving in the rain, when applicable, driving in the snow, identifying lights, signs, and road markings, and selecting a significant gap to enter traffic. This section covers professional accountability. All educators have the obligation to conduct themselves in a professional and ethical manner.
The links on this slide are accessible on the PDE Driver and Safety Education website. The 4 links are just a sample of the ethical and professional roles and responsibilities of individuals working with youth.
Thank you for participating in this presentation. We will now entertain questions in the chat.